Good evening. Thanks for having me, TEDxChange, TEDx Brussels, and UCB for this wonderful campus and this great room. This is a story. This is my night job. Yeah. So I'm doing this outside of the company. It's a personal initiative, and I'm sort of tolerated of doing this by my company. Let's do a quick check in the room. Who is working for an organization, whether that's a governmental or commercial or health or other organization, between 0 and 10 employees? Raise hands. 0 and 10. Who is working for an organization between 10 and 100 employees? Between 100 and 1,000? Between 1,000 and 10,000? Huh? More than 10,000? Wow. Okay. So this story is applicable to all of you. Yeah? I'll start with this picture. Who knows who this is? Oh, Björk. So Björk is this weird Icelandic singer. And who knows when Björk was born? Give a guess. 70, 70. It is 65. So she's almost 50 years old. Yeah? 65. So this guy here on stage was born way before that. So if I go back to the previous one, the 65 is sort of the borderline to decide whether you're born before or after Björk, or whether you're weird enough to survive in this new hyper-connected economy. So I unfortunately was born in 57. But I did some crazy things. And the story is not about these crazy things. It's leading into the rebel story. So I did some things like being a DJ, so doing gigs for 100, 300, 400 people. And then I was involved in the foundation of one of the first pirate radio stations here in Brussels called FM Bruxelles. And that moved on. So, but this radio team, this radio station team, kept on following me. And so I was... At a certain moment when we were doing this, we were really in a mindset of we wanted to shock people. And we felt like pirates. So in 67, there was this guy that hijacked this platform in the North Sea. It's about 13 kilometers out of the coast of Suffolk in the UK. And he hijacked that platform and he started a radio station there. But after a couple of weeks and months, he started building his own land. He called it the Pirates of Ceylon. So you can go Wikipedia it. Pirates of Ceylon is a sovereign territory outside of the territorial waters of the UK and the continent. And he was really declaring his own sovereign state. And he was having his own rules and his own laws. And it was almost like a predecessor of Occupy Everything. So I start loving this whole metaphor of pirates. And as you know, pirates, they have a treasure map where they can find the gold and all the silver and all the jewels. And I've used this treasure map as a way to explain what are the typical jewels, the typical attributes of corporate rebels. So corporate rebels are people in organizations that are relentlessly challenging the status quo. They are relentlessly breaking the rules. They are relentlessly saying the unsaid and spreading the innovation virus. They generate tribal energy in organizations. They have no fear. They are rebels with a cause. And they are, this is quite important, they are leading by being their true self. They follow their true self compass. And they're after the unnamed quality. And I'm going to come back on the unnamed quality in a couple of seconds in this presentation. They do this relentlessly. So I have a dream. It's a dream to pass on the baton. So I've been working in an innovation team of a pretty big organization. And so that sort of behavior, stealth movements that we showcase, I would like to pass that baton to a following, to an offspring, because I'm born in 57. So, and I want to be 100% free. And I want to go after this unnamed quality. And that unnamed quality is so nicely described in this book by an architect, Christopher Alexander. So I have studied architecture, so this thing is still following me. So, but he's a really great architect, and the book is called The Timeless Way of Building. So he is trying to describe what are the real characteristics of a good building, and that you feel really good in it. And he describes it, it's a building that is alive. It's whole. It's exact. It's right. It just feels right. It is egoless. You don't see anymore the stamp, the ego stamp of the architect that tried to make a statement. No, it was really made for the inhabitants. And it has something eternal. And I don't know about you, but as I grow older, these are the sort of qualities that I also appreciate in people. People that are right, egoless, whole, following their true selves. So what our movement is trying to rally are people who are being in the first place. Being from their true selves and then doing. But we are results-oriented with our movement. And that's where the whole idea started, with this belt. This belt was worn by a lady, Laura Marling, who at that time was working for a pretty big organization, Alcatel-Lucent. She recently moved to AT&T, also a big movement. And I saw her giving a presentation on a stage, and she was explaining how she was hired, and the first job that the CEO gave her said, Laura, you have to build a B2B development mobile platform, blah, 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 and you have 90 days to deliver, 9-0. And you have no budget and no resources. Off you go. And Laura had the guts to go after that. She went out in the market and she hired what she called mercenaries. She probably meant missionaries, because mercenaries, they go after something for the money. Missionaries go after something because they have the passion for it. So she went out for missionaries, and she hired her best friend, or she asked her best friend developer and her best friend marketeer, and they formed a team of 6, and they delivered the goddamn thing in 90 days. And she came back to the CEO, and the CEO said, really great job, Laura. From now on, you are our change agent. And you know what your KPI is, your measure of success? Your measure of success, if 70,000 people of this organization knock on my door and ask, what is this bloody woman doing in my company? Then you have succeeded in your role as a change agent in my organization. I mean, this story hit me really very strongly, and we really went along and we invited Laura at our different events, and in the end she ended up in our incubation, innovation, advisory committee, etc., etc. And we were sitting together with Laura and looking at each other at an event, and somebody dropped the word rebels, and somebody else dropped the word united, and that's how the whole idea of Rebels United was born. Laura sent out a mail to 10 people. I sent a mail out to 10 people. We had some calls, some Skype calls, and then we asked for a meeting in London. In this meeting in London, we just were 15 people physically present, and there were 15 others on the phone. And we hacked out the corporate rebels manifesto at that meeting. So the starting point, because we wanted to keep the word rebel because it has a certain sharpness in its meaning. Yeah? We could have called ourselves the change makers, the catalysts. It doesn't have the energy of the rebellion. But we start from this important premise. We love the companies that we work for. We care for the companies that we work for. Care, as in the previous presentation, care for people. And so when we look at what's happening outside, we are worried that our companies will not survive in this hyper-connected, fast-moving type of environment. So we think we need new practices to succeed in that new environment. So we created this manifesto, which you already saw, but I'm going to read it again for you. It's relentlessly challenging the status quo, breaking the rules, saying the unsaid, spreading the innovation virus, and seeding tribal energy with no fear, with a cause to do good, leading by being from our true selves and going after the unnamed quality relentlessly. And we hacked out 20 principles. So this movement has not a central body. There is no central organization. We have listed 20 principles, and everybody who feels called by those principles can organize local hubs and local cells to implement those principles the way that they think makes sense in their environment. Where we really want to land, it's a practice, or even practices, in plural, of value creation. We all have seen in our organizations practices for efficiency, like Lean and Six Sigma. What we want to create is an emergent practice for value creation, even at the level that our companies will be proud that they have 5 black belts in rebellion in their organization. And so the mind shift of the type of organization that we want to work for, that we want to create, is an organization that is going from a divisional organizational to a connected organization, from people working like cogs in cubicles to activated human beings. Or the fourth one, where the standard, the default mode setting is trust and not distrust when you come into organization. Or the last one, where people are not just sticking in the blueprint, but are daring to step out of the blueprint and sticking out their neck and coming up with new ideas. So a couple of weeks later, we put up our website, www.corporaterebelsunited.com. Just one page, one HTML page, super simple. And at the bottom of that page, we put a button, said join here. Where are we today? And this is just a couple of weeks, maybe 2 months ago. Today, there are 400 people who have signed up for this movement. And it goes all the way from San Francisco to New Zealand and anything in between. And we have seen local hubs being started up in San Francisco, in Portland, in Nashville, in Boston, in Madrid, in Brussels, in Amsterdam. Yesterday I had a call of people starting up in Sydney, in Melbourne, and in Singapore. I was surprised to see how many people from healthcare joined this movement. And it really goes from the head of transformation from NHS to nurses working in hospitals. So what we also start seeing emerge, we have a Facebook group and we have a Google Plus group, etc. I will share the resources later on in this presentation. By the way, this presentation is already on Prezi.com, so you can look at your ease. What we have started seeing bubbling up on the different social platforms are a couple of themes that seem to be universal across industry. So one of those themes is leadership. I have to correct myself. It's leadingship. So the difference between leadership and leadingship is leaders are leaders because they have followers. In leadingship, you're a leader because you have followers. In leadership, you get your position because of your hierarchical position in an organization or because of the title. And there is something really weird about that sort of leadership is that the resource, the leader has to delegate. It's an unfair balance. The leader has the resource of delegation and the power, and you're always a subordinate in that relationship. So there is a guy in our group, Rune Kvist Olsen from Norway, who has created a fantastic narrative around this sort of leadership. Check out our website. Some other themes that are popping up, it's failure. It's all good and well, I hear in all innovation companies, yes, we have to experiment. Yes, we have to encourage failure until the moment that you fail. Yeah? So how do you cope with that? What does that do with you as a human being? Do you people that you can connect with, co-rebels, to ask for help, for support, that sort of things. And then we got this crazy idea for on the 30th and the 31st of May, because we don't have money, we don't have resources, we don't have budget, like Laura in the beginning. So we wanted to do a live event, but no resources, no budget, so we are going to do an online event. So on 31st May, we do a worldwide 24-hour online Rebels Jam that starts in Brussels at 12 o'clock and we hand over to Boston, and Boston hands it over to San Francisco, and San Francisco hands over to Sydney, and then we come all back with thought leaders, with rebels talking from their experience, and even with people doing some performances. Some people can play guitar, some people have some poetry, some people can paint. So it will be a fun event. So when do you want to get alive? When do you want to get alive? If you think that this story resonates with you, I would encourage you to join the movement. Just go to corporaterebelsunited.com. There's a button, join here. There are plenty of resources. We have a website, we have a Scoopy, Twitter, Facebook, Google+, and LinkedIn group. And if you want to know more about this, please come and see me after the session. Thank you so much.